Alright guys, I have another battle here against Swankle7. This is a UU match, and this team he's using is actually a brainchild of him and Niles, so they kind of came together to make a new team that they could hopefully take me down with. And as you can see by the size of this video, probably, and not to mention I'm going to speed up the battle a little bit more than I usually do, this is a long battle, which is kind of common in UU. It's actually 70 turns. So, a lot of good back and forth action. I hope that you will enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get into it. So he's going to lead with Aerodactyl, which is probably Mega Aerodactyl. I lead with my Rotom Heat form, and he is going to just switch out here. I guess he predicts the fact that I am Scarfed, which is a great prediction because I am, and I go for the Volt Switch, and yeah, he ends up just going into Donphan, which obviously is going to block that. And yeah, I'm just going to go into Milotic now to take whatever he wants to do. He goes for the knockoff, which isn't excellent because I do lose my leftovers, but at the same time I do have recover, and Milotic doesn't really need leftovers to function. It just really helps it make it that much more bulky as he goes out into Suicune now, as I just actually got off a Toxic, which isn't so bad because this will force this Suicune, which is probably, let's face it, they're all rest talkers these days. But if it's not, then that's good for me, and if it is, then at the very least it'll force him to rest at some point. So yeah, that's pretty nice as I go out into my Chestnut now, being that I am a water type, and the reason I do that is because a lot of these Suicunes only carry one move in order to get Rest Talk and Calm Mind in. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it might be Scald only, but it could also be Ice Beam only. I've seen those before as well. Or it could be two moves and just not use Rest Talk. So yeah, I'm just gonna switch out, thinking just to pretty much bait the Ice Beam. If he doesn't go for it, then I know that I don't know why I go into this thing thinking Ice Beam though. I was kind of a stupid play, as yeah. Wait, maybe I didn't go into this thinking Ice Beam. I don't know. Either way, I go into this thing, which is really bulky, this Mandibuzz thing, as he just gets off a T-Wave, which is not good. This Cresselia got it off. Oh my god, this is going a lot faster than it normally does, but it's the only way I got this video under 20 minutes. Anyway, so he just goes for the Draco Meteor. I actually wanted to see if this thing was Specs or Scarf, because either way, Hydreigon is usually choiced in some way, and yeah, I just want to see it. And looking at that damage, actually, I take that really well, considering Mandibuzz is mostly a physical tank. But yeah, that makes me think that it is definitely a Choice Scarf one, because I think a Choice Specs one would be doing a little bit more. And yeah, he just goes into Aerodactyl again as I go into Nidoqueen, and I do that basically because I want to set up Stealth Rocks. Now, this isn't a great double switch for me, because this thing very well could have Earthquake, probably does. But either way, we've actually both decided to set up Stealth Rocks. Now, he does have Stealth Rocks on this Mega Aerodactyl. I never really liked Stealth Rocks on Mega Aerodactyl. I know in Gen 4 I used Stealth Rock lead Aerodactyl, but with the Mega Aerodactyl, I feel like you want the coverage, but that's his choice, I guess, and I'm just going to go into Mandibuzz now, predicting Earthquake, and he makes a really, really excellent play and just goes for a Stone Edge, which does cripple me, as he gets off a second Stone Edge hit in a row, and that's going to make me lose Mandibuzz really early here, which is never good, because Mandibuzz was my defogger, too, so the only way I had to get rid of his Stealth Rocks was that Mandibuzz, so losing it is not pretty. So I go into Milotic now, pretty much scares him away because of Scald, as he goes out into Hydreigon again, and yeah, I just go for the Recover, figuring that it's free, and I can just do that if he wants to attack, and see what he does and all that. I wanted to see if he had Thunderfang specifically, because with Stealth Rocks he can only have 3 moves, and I actually thought at that point maybe he didn't have Earthquake, because he didn't go for it, but I don't know. I just wanted to pretty much get a move. He ends up just switching anyway, as, yeah, he goes into Cresselia, which is another bulky thing. Now, Cresselia can have Rest or can have Moonlight. I don't know which one it is. Either way, I'm just going to go for the Toxic. If he has a way to get rid of his status, then at the very least I'll know. Unfortunately, I missed the first time. I'm going to try to go for it now, as he sets up a Calm Mind, which actually is really dangerous. More dangerous, in fact, to this Milotic than that Suicune is, because obviously he has a neutral attack, which is Psychic, which can also lower my special defense. So this Cresselia can be a real threat if I don't get it Toxic, and if it can remove it, I don't know. The good news about Cresselia, though, is that they're usually not Rest Talkers, and I don't think he would have 2 Rest Talkers on his team, so I'm thinking it's probably a Moonlight set, and as you can see, it is. I have no idea, though, why he went for that. Maybe it was a misclick, because he was faster than me and wasn't really all that damage, so I'm not really sure what the point of that Moonlight is. Maybe he just wanted to Moonlight before switching, but then he just stays in anyway and just goes for the Psychic. I'm not really sure. He ends up getting a crit Psychic, though, which at the time I was really nervous about. As you can see, it does a little over half to my Milotic. Although the Toxic is starting to build up, as I'm just going to go for Recover now, which is good because he switches, which means it's basically free. As he goes into Hydreigon, I'm not really worried about Hydreigon on this Milotic at all. Milotic's special defense is pretty good, and Yeah, this thing is Scarf, so I don't really think it's going to be able to do that much to me. He just goes for a Dark Pulse, as I just go for an Ice Beam, which is super effective, and it's going to nearly take this thing out, which is kind of nice. As he just continues to go for the Dark Pulse, I'm just going to go for the Recover. I don't want to risk dying to this thing, because Dark Pulse can flinch, and if he gets a flinch at the wrong time, it could mean the end for my Melodic. So I'm just going to switch out now into Chestnut. I do resist Dark Pulse, so that's the reason I do that, although Chestnut's special defense isn't that great. And as you can see, he continues to go for it, and it does a little more than I would have expected. But I guess that just shows you the offensive prowess of Hydreigon for you, as well as the lack of special defense that Chestnut has. So, yeah, I just get off a lead sheet on this thing. I actually thought that he might switch and not wanting to stay in, but he ends up just staying in, which is interesting. And I'm just going to Spiky Shield. No, I don't Spiky Shield. I should have Spiky Shielded. Spiky Shielded. I go for a Spike thinking that he would switch out again, but he actually makes maybe a good play, because I don't think that thing would have been able to come in anyway due to the Stealth Rocks. But he does have a way to get rid of the Stealth Rocks too in Donphan, so I don't know. Either way, he goes into Darm here, and these things are almost always Scarfed as well, and I'm going to assume that this one is, so I just go for a Spiky Shield to see what he'd lock himself into, and he does try to lock himself into Superpower, which is interesting, and I'm just going to be able to hurt him actually due to my Spiky Shield's secondary effect. If you guys don't know, Spiky Shield is a special move, kind of like Protect. It damages when the opponent uses contact moves, otherwise, I believe it works exactly like Protect. Either way, he goes for a Superpower again because he is locked into it. I'm thinking that by that damage, it's Choice Banded, which definitely scares me a lot more than Choice Scarf at this point. Either way, I do take it pretty nicely due to my resistance on Nidoqueen, and I just go for the Sludge Wave, thinking that he'd switch out. It's a good move for me because he does end up trying to switch out into this Suicune, and I get it to red, and I'm thinking, okay, this thing's faster than me, probably, and well, at least more base speed. I actually might not have been faster just because it probably invested in bulk. Either way, I switch out, thinking that he'd probably either rest or just try to kill me with a Scald. And he does go for a Scald, so that's pretty cool, but I could have maybe killed this thing. So maybe, actually, I probably did make the right play, because if that thing outsped and just killed Nidoqueen, I would have felt dumb. I would have felt dumb. Now he's going to go for the rest, so that's a interesting play. I was actually thinking maybe he's not a Rest Talker, since he didn't actually go for the rest. I thought it was a pretty obvious move, not wanting to lose Suicune. But then again, he might know that he might be timid max speed, I don't know. I think my Nidoqueen isn't max speed, though. I think it's more of a bulky set, so there's no way I would have outsped, I think. So okay, looking back on that, I maybe didn't misplay that much. Either way, he goes back into Cress, and I'm just going to go into Chestnut. Oh no, I think this was a double switch, maybe. Yeah, I think this is a double switch here, and that really didn't work out for me, although I can actually go for the Spiky Shield, but I don't. I just switch out, not wanting to give him a free Calm Mind. I go into Absol, thinking that he's either going to Calm Mind, try to set up a Calm Mind against me, or use Psychic just to kill me. He actually ends up making a great play, going for that T-Wave. That's going to cripple Mega Absol. Mega Absol is a fast Pokemon. It does rely quite a bit on its speed. And, yeah, that T-Wave really does cripple me, and that was an excellent T-Wave. I don't know if he predicted Absol or not, or, I mean, actually, the only switch that I thought he would predict a switch in Melodic, which obviously, that would actually benefit me, the T-Wave. Actually, it probably wouldn't, but it would give me more defense at any rate. Either way, he makes that was just an excellent play, as now I'm paralyzed. I have no way to get rid of it. I just go for the knockoff on the switch. He ends up going into Donphan, presumably to go for the Rapid Spin, and I figure, you know what, if he tries to Rapid Spin, I'm going to make him pay for it. I'm going to get up a Stowards Dance. I do have, Sucker Punch. I'm going to try to go for it, and I get the Parahacks against me, which makes me not, pay him for it, as he just kills me with Earthquake, so that was pretty crappy on my part, getting the Parahacks when I did. I am able to revenge kill the Donphan with Melodic, but still, it did what it needed to do. It got rid of my rocks and my spikes, so that's going to be a major benefit for him, as he's now going to be able to switch in for free, and I still have Stealth Rocks on my team. And like I said, I can't get rid of it since my Defogger was Mandibuzz. So I go for a Scald. I do that because, I don't know, extra damage, I guess, as hoping that I can get this thing to have to switch. I go into Chestnut thinking that he'd actually try to set up a Calm Mind. I end up being right on that account, as he does attempt to Calm Mind me. And there you go. So he's going to try to set up, and I figure that if I got that prediction right, I can go for a Spiky Shield here. He's not going to want to, F around with multiple Calm Minds, probably, because he does have a time limit with Toxic. So I can burn maybe a turn of his Toxic by just going for Spiky Shield. He ends up trying to go for a Psychic, which is pretty excellent for me, because that basically means he doesn't get stronger. and this Crest is 1 turn more into Toxic, so I switch back into Melodic now, thinking that he'll probably just try to finish me off, knowing I can't Spiky Shield again. I'm hoping Melodic can take 2 of these after the Stealth Rocks, and yeah, as you can see, he goes for the Psychic, and it does a little more than I would have expected and wanted. I'm hoping that I can live 1 more, and it's going to be close, and it really does matter because I need to keep this Melodic alive. It does wall a good portion of his team, and there you go. 4 HP survive. Thank you, Melodic. I will never doubt you again, you beast. As, yeah, this Crest is going to continue to get withered down by the Toxic. He could have maybe switched here to keep Cresselia. He ends up trying to keep going for the Psychic, maybe hoping for a special defense drop or a crit or something, or maybe he was just wanting to keep Melodic. He didn't want to give me a free recover, which is a wise play too, but I am still in green now after all that, and his Toxic will end up killing him, so I don't have to deal with his Cresselia anymore. And that is pretty nice, as he goes into Darmanitan, just goes for the U-turn. Maybe he would have been able to kill me with a superpower. It's probably a risk for me to stay in. Thank God he didn't try for it, as he just goes for the U-turn to go right back into Suicune. I guess now his only hope is to set this thing up, which really could be a problem looking at my team. I do have a counter for it, but I actually didn't realize it at this point. I go into Chestnut, because I'm pretty confident at this point his only attacking move is Scald. So he is asleep. He's going to Sleep Talk. Thank God he just is a very lazy Suicune. Just keeps going for the rest. Actually, I think he gets a rest every time. So I get pretty lucky too, considering all things considered. He got like those 2 Stone Edge hits earlier, and I got the Parahacks on my Absol. But I do get pretty lucky, as I recall, with the rests. Or, sorry, the Sleep Talks. Anyway, so either way, I go for the Spiky Shield against this Aerodactyl, see what he would do. He makes a good play going for Earthquake because it's not a contact move, therefore it won't actually damage him. But I do get some recovery thanks to, you know, my Leech Seeds as I go into Melodic now. Figuring I can take pretty much any move that this thing does pretty well. In fact, even a Thunder Fang I can probably take pretty well. And, yeah, he does go for that Stone Edge. It doesn't really do... and I don't really take that as well as I would like. And now I'm in another situation. I might lose Melodic. I really don't know. I didn't pay attention to how much damage that did. Thank God, though, Stone Mist finally missed. And I don't really consider that lucky. He used it, what, 4 times, and he missed once, which is about the average. It's 75%. I think it's 75% accuracy exactly, so... 3 out of 4 is exactly what you'd expect, and I'll take it, though, and Melodic is back at full health as he goes back into Suicune, as I just go for a Scald, maybe hoping to take that Aerodactyl out, but the Scald is not going to do anything, of course, to the incoming Suicune, and I'm going to switch because I really have nothing to do to this Suicune. He's going to switch as well, double switch time as he goes into Darmanitan, and I go into Chestnut. And this isn't a terrible double switch for me. Obviously, I do have the disadvantage, but I still have Spiky Shield, and I'm still pretty sure this thing is Scarfed. So, sorry, not Scarfed. I think it's Banded. Either way, it's Choiced. So I know I get to see what he's going to lock himself into, and he is going to switch out, not wanting me to go into a counter. He goes into Aerodactyl, thinking that I would probably go into Nidoqueen. I end up actually going into Melodic. And I do that because I am at full health, and Superpower will reduce his attack. I'm pretty sure I can live it at full health. You know, I'd be kind of embarrassed if I could not. As he just goes for Stone Edge, and that does a little more than I would have liked, or expected. Keep saying that. Melodic, while I think I EV'd it in defensively, its special defense is more what it's known for, so... Yeah, he goes into Darmanitan again now, as I just go into Nidoqueen, kind of expecting a superpower, but I'm pretty sure 2 superpowers will kill my Nidoqueen at this point. As you can see, I do live 1, but I'm not going to live the other, so he is going to be able to finish me off, although now at -2 attack, I'm pretty sure Melodic can come on in and hopefully survive and get off some recovery, so that's what I do. I just go into Melodic, believing in Melodic to be able to survive. He ends up just switching anyway. It would have been interesting to see how much he did. In fact, maybe he would have been able to kill me. That Donphan is not to be trifled with, but thankfully he doesn't even try. I go for the recover, and I get back to green health as he goes into Suicune to burn yet another turn of sleep. Now, I miscounted, actually. It's been a little while since the Suicune's been out. I kind of thought that he already had his 2 turns of rest. Turns out that's not the case, as I just go for the Toxic, although he just gets the rest anyway. As I alluded to earlier, he got pretty unlucky with those Sleep Talks. I just go for the Toxic, and he does wake up this turn and goes for the Calm Mind, which is a good play because at this point he's hoping to win. I get off the Toxic this turn, which I know he has rest, obviously, but at the very least, going for the Toxic will put a time limit on him to have to go back to sleep, and this thing, while asleep, is a little bit less scary because he has to rely on RNG in order to do anything. So I go into Chestnut, and I pretty much kind of am death foddering Chestnut. I know that after a second Calm Mind, he's probably going to be able to kill me with Scald, and yeah, I'm just going to stay in actually and not even try to go for the Spiky Shield, I believe. I didn't want to give him another free Calm Mind, which would be really bad. And yeah, he just goes for the Scald here and kills me, so I could have maybe burned another turn of Toxic. Now here I make a super dumb play, like super dumb. I think my reasoning was I go into Rotom, I do have Trick, and a tricked Rest Talk Suicune is obviously a crippled one. It can't really do anything, and I really should have tricked right now. That would have pretty much clinched the deal for me. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking maybe he'd go into Darmanitan, which actually would have been really bad. So I just go for the Volt Switch, but at the same time, there was no, like, he already has 2 Calm Minds up. What are the odds of him actually wanting to switch? So I just go for the Volt Switch, which doesn't really do that much after the 2 Calm Minds. And now I'm at the mercy of RNG as he rests here, because I have to go back. My only hope, really, is to go into Rotom and get the trick off on this thing. And now I have to rely on RNG. If he gets a Scald off a rest, I am done for. Like, I lose, period, because this Suicune, my Melodic can't do anything to this Suicune. So I go into it, and even if he gets a Calm Mind, that's fine with me. I just don't need a Scald, and he gets a rest. Phew! Thank God that his luck with that wasn't that good. I now go for the Choice Scarf. Thankfully, he does not predict it going into Darmanitan, and now that he's locked into Sleep Talk, this Suicune is not a problem at all. He gets another rest, which is hilarious. He could have gotten the Scald there. That doesn't really matter because he is locked into Sleep Talk, which means that he is done for, basically. He has to switch because he's going to wake up next turn, and I just go for the Volt Switch, and yeah, it kills the Darmanitan, and I just go into Melodic. I have this game won. He's going to wake up next turn. He doesn't have any Calm Minds now, and I can just go for the Toxic. He can't get rid of it because he can't switch out. He can't go into Rest. Well, he could lock himself into Rest here, but that would be really lame. This battle was long enough as is. I mean, I would win anyway, eventually, but it would be long if he locks himself into Rest. So, yeah, thank God he didn't do that. He just locks himself into Scald, and I go for the Toxic, and in a few turns, I will win this. I'm just going to keep going for the Scald myself, just try to make this a little bit shorter, but I don't think I really succeed, because, yeah, the thing is super strong, like I said. And, yeah, I guess I'll just go into today's question of the day, since, this is a very long video, and we just have some time here. What is your favorite rival in all of Pokemon? There is a lot of rivals to love to hate in the Pokemon series, one for every generation, in fact. Which is your favorite? Which is the rival that you think is coolest, or just love to hate? You hated that guy, but you loved hating him, or just a character that you thought was, you know, really cool. While I always liked Blue in the original games, you know, just that jerk guy that shows up and it's just a jerk all the time. I like the mystery behind Silver in Gen 2 games, and, you know, being Giovanni's son, we didn't know that at the time. There was a few hints, but his backstory is kind of dark, and you can actually kind of see his character develop as the game goes on, and I think he's probably the most character out of any, you know, rival in any series of games. But, yeah, leave a comment about that. What is your favorite Pokemon rival? That would be the main rival, by the way, or I guess a secondary rival. Some games have 2, really. But, yeah, leave a comment about that, and see you guys again next time. Bye!